ruining lives. And now they've indoctrinated these kids into thinking that this is the way because this is what they know.
I saw it posted yesterday all over our social media pages. Cassie filed a lawsuit in New York City against Diddy.
Yikes.
She's claiming she was stuck in a decade-long cycle of abuse.
All right, let's dive into one of Hollywood's most jaw-dropping controversies. We're talking about some of the most iconic names in the industry: Diddy, Will Smith, and a secret world of scandalous gatherings, manipulation, and rumors that have been swirling for years. The whispers are growing louder, and the stories coming out are enough to make you wonder, just how deep does this go? So let's break it down and dig into the claims that are shaking up Tinseltown.
Just keep changing the top layer. You got to do some real internal work, and you have all the money, all the resources to have access to the best everything. Stop spending the money and using the resources to attempt to cover up your lies, and start using the money and the resources to deal with your truth.
So here's the deal. For years, there have been rumors that Diddy, one of the biggest names in music and entertainment, has been involved in some very secretive and highly questionable activities. His success, connections, and the seemingly endless parade of parties he's hosted. Oh, well, they're starting to look a lot more suspicious than they ever did before. Insiders are now stepping forward, claiming that behind those glamorous events are some seriously dark, manipulative activities involving people who you'd never expect to be mixed up in this mess. And who's right there alongside Diddy in these rumors? None other than Will Smith.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
That's right, the Fresh Prince himself has somehow been linked to this swirling cloud of controversy. For a long time, Will Smith's squeaky clean image has been a part of his brand, but recent allegations are starting to paint a different picture of him, and it's pretty shocking. Some are even saying that Will might have been involved in some of these alleged secret gatherings, described as highly exclusive events that very few are invited to unless, of course, they're part of the inner circle. Now, let's rewind a bit. These aren't just any Hollywood parties. According to several former insiders, including Diddy's own ex-bodyguard Gene Deal, these gatherings were wild in ways that would make your head spin. So you're talking about what some call freak-off parties, where attendees reportedly had to engage in all kinds of questionable activities as part of their initiation. Allegedly, these events weren't just about having a good time, they were about control, manipulation, and grooming, and creating an environment where some of the biggest stars were allegedly coerced into things they wouldn't normally be involved in.
So he said that Diddy came to the jail and said that, hey, I'll give you $2.3 million or something like that, or 23. I don't know if it's 2.3 or $23 million to make this go away. We'll leave us alone the whole 9 yards. Just like I just said, he's trying to pay people off to make things go away, for them to drop their suits and everything like that.
Gene Deal, who spent years by Diddy's side as his bodyguard, has been one of the most vocal about these claims. And he's not holding back. According to him, Diddy's influence went beyond just music and business deals. He allegedly pulled strings behind the scenes, making sure that certain young stars were part of these so-called exclusive circles. And yes, he mentioned names like Justin Bieber, raising eyebrows across the internet.
It was just an escape for me. I was just young, like everybody in the industry and people in the world who experiment and do.
But let's slow down a bit and really unpack what's being said here. The main accusation is that Diddy used these events as a way to wield power over younger, up-and-coming stars. Deal claims that the glamorous life Diddy projected was just a front. Beneath it all was something far more disturbing, a kind of grooming process, where younger stars were introduced to these secretive gatherings and slowly pulled into a web of influence. One name that keeps coming up in this conversation is Will Smith, a figure most people would never expect to be mixed up in such rumors.
The issue is, it seems as though he wants to kind of like exert power and dominance over people who don't really want it.
Now, Will and Diddy have known each other for years, and while their professional collaborations haven't always been front and center, insiders claim their relationship goes much deeper than what's visible to the public. According to Deal and other sources, Will's involvement in these gatherings has been an open secret among Hollywood elites. While it's unclear exactly what his role in all this might have been, his connection to Diddy and these wild parties has been enough to get people talking.
My initial reaction, because that's how I always feel when I see situations like this. And then there's this weird sense of grief, because it is Diddy, right? Diddy is a hip hop hero. He's an ordinary person who did extraordinary things. To sit here and act like the man wasn't a huge part of our upbringing is a damn lie. So there's this weird sense of grief. Like another one of our heroes has ruined their legacy and it's their own fault, because a poor choices?
One particular rumor that has been circulating for years involves Will Smith and Diddy throwing exclusive, invite-only gatherings for select Hollywood figures. These weren't your typical celebrity soirees. According to those familiar with the events, attendees would have to agree to certain arrangements beforehand. Deal and others claim that these arrangements could involve anything from playing along with unusual activities to participating in what some have described as borderline coercive situations. Whatever the specifics, it's clear that these events were about much more than just networking or partying. A major part of this story involves the alleged secrecy surrounding these gatherings. Insiders have painted a picture of a carefully crafted system where high-profile figures like Will Smith were allegedly groomed to participate in or even host these events. For years, this all remained under wraps, hidden behind the walls of million-dollar mansions and five-star hotel suites. But now, with former bodyguards and other insiders coming forward, the veil of secrecy is starting to lift.
Prosecutors going to glamorize a case. I've had cases, and I hadn't worked for Diddy for years. You understand? And the prosecutor going to say, Diddy former bodyguard. Get in the shootout. Diddy former bodyguard threatened a person's life or did this and did that.
One thing that's really fueling these rumors is the connection to something even more outlandish, the idea that these secret gatherings are part of a larger hidden structure within Hollywood, possibly linked to the Illuminati. Yeah, you heard that right. Some people believe that these parties and the behaviors surrounding them are tied to a much larger conspiracy involving Hollywood's most powerful players. Celebrities like Diddy, Will Smith, Ye, and even Jay-Z have been accused of having ties to this alleged secret society. According to this theory, these high-profile figures are involved in carefully orchestrated activities that go way beyond just making music or movies. The rumor suggests that these gatherings are part of an initiation process into this exclusive group, one that grants them the fame, fortune, and influence they've enjoyed for decades.
Coming out, it's so funny what's happening with Diddy because this was inevitable.
Now, before we go too far down the rabbit hole, it's important to remember that none of this has been proven, and most of it remains in the realm of speculation. But what makes these rumors so compelling is how they align with certain public behaviors and statements made by the celebrities involved. For example, Jim Carrey's infamous comments on a late-night talk show, where he alluded to the existence of secretive groups like the Illuminati controlling the entertainment industry, have only added fuel to the fire. So is he joking, or was there a bit of truth hidden behind his humor?
I think industry talk, there's a lot of people who have worked for him. There's been stories around, which is, not necessarily unusual.
Jim Carrey has long been known for making cryptic, offhand remarks about Hollywood, but his comments about secret societies and their control over celebrities have certainly gotten people talking. In one now famous interview, Carrey made a gesture with his hand, one that many conspiracy theorists believe is a symbol of the Illuminati, before going on to suggest that there are hidden forces at play in Hollywood that most people have no idea about. So whether he was serious or not, his comments have only added weight to the ongoing speculation surrounding Diddy, Will Smith, and others.
I can't wait. I can't wait for everybody to find out what's really been going on in the background.
The idea that these secret clubs exist and that they control the careers of some of the world's most famous entertainers is something that many people have speculated about for years. From Beyonce's rumored involvement in the Illuminati to West's bizarre public breakdowns, it's a theory that just won't go away. And now, with Diddy's alleged freak, soft parties and the involvement of figures like Will Smith, those rumors are gaining more and more traction.
Saw in that video totally eviscerated his credibility.
Let's circle back to some of the more specific accusations surrounding Diddy. According to Gene Deal, these freak-off parties were infamous in Hollywood. Deal claims that Diddy would invite young stars, especially those new to the industry, into these gatherings as a way to initiate them into this secret world. Once they were inside, they would allegedly be encouraged or even pressured to engage in questionable activities. And it wasn't just about partying, it was about control. The implication here is that Diddy, through these events, was able to manipulate these young stars, keeping them tied to him both professionally and personally.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing.
Deal isn't the only one to have made these claims. Over the years, there have been whispers from various other insiders, too. Some have described Diddy as having an almost cult-like influence over the people he brings into his inner circle. So they claim that once you're in, it's hard to get out. And if you do try to leave, you risk having your career and personal life ruined. So this paints a very dark picture of Diddy, not just as a mogul, but as someone who allegedly wields an almost tyrannical level of control over the people around him.
And we are getting word that that these accusers could soon testify in front of a grand jury in New York, and that one accuser is from Detroit.
Take Justin Bieber, for instance. The young pop star has long been rumored to have had a close relationship with Diddy, one that started when Bieber was just a teenager. While their public interaction seemed innocent enough, like Diddy gifting Bieber a fancy car for his 16th birthday, insiders have hinted at a much more complicated dynamic. According to Deal and others, Bieber's introduction to Diddy's world may have involved more than just mentorship. There are claims that Bieber, like other young stars, was invited to some of Diddy's infamous parties, where he may have been exposed to the kinds of behaviors that have raised so many eyebrows in recent years.
Stevie J, the Usher part, that's a touchy situation, man.
It's worth noting that Justin Bieber has never publicly confirmed or denied these allegations, but his silence on the matter has only fueled speculation. Some have even suggested that Bieber's well-documented struggles with mental health and addiction could be tied to the things he may have witnessed or even participated in during those years. Again, it's important to remember that none of this has been proven, but the rumors continue to swirl. One of the most disturbing aspects of these accusations is the suggestion that Diddy and his inner circle weren't just targeting young men for these parties they were allegedly grooming them. According to insiders, Diddy's influence was so strong that many of these young stars felt they had no choice but to go along with whatever was happening out of fear that their careers would be destroyed if they didn't. It's a chilling thought, but one that's become increasingly difficult to ignore as more and more people come forward with their stories.
The only way he will not go to prison for the time that they want to give him is if he start giving them something.
And then there's Will Smith. His name keeps coming up in these conversations, and for good reason. According to Deal and others, Will may have been more involved in these gatherings than most people realize. There are even rumors that he and Diddy would host these events together, with both of them playing a role in the initiation process. While there's no concrete evidence to support these claims, the fact that they keep surfacing is enough to make you wonder what really goes on behind closed doors.
I think we were both kind of still stuck in our fantasy of what we thought the other person should be.
Adding to the intrigue is the fact that Will Smith's own personal life has been the subject of speculation for years. From his unconventional marriage to Jada Pinkett Smith to his rumored relationships with other high-profile figures, Will's private life has always been something of a mystery. And while he's never been publicly tied to any kind of secret society, the idea that he and Diddy could be involved in something bigger than themselves is certainly an interesting one.
Yeah, and let me just say this. It's ridiculous, right?
So there's also the fact that both Diddy and Will have been linked to some of Hollywood's most infamous scandals over the years. From Diddy's alleged involvement in shady business dealings to Will's rumored clashes with other celebrities, these two are no strangers to controversy. And if the rumors are to be believed, their connection goes much deeper than just friendship or professional collaboration. It's a connection that, according to insiders, may be tied to something far more sinister.
And in this lawsuit, he claims that essentially P. Diddy was the Epstein of the rap industry.
The idea that Diddy and Will Smith could be involved in a hidden world of secret societies and manipulative behaviors is enough to make anyone pause. But what makes this story even more compelling is the sheer number of people who have come forward to back up these claims. From former bodyguards to industry insiders, it seems that everyone has a story to tell about these two, and not all of those stories are flattering.
Nah, I just see I see him one day that I know for a fact he'll be behind bars. So it don't matter what he do now.
So what does all this mean for Diddy, Will Smith, and the future of Hollywood? Well, it's hard to say for sure. But one thing is clear. The more people talk, the more these rumors start to feel like they could be rooted in some kind of truth. Whether or not we'll never get a definitive answer is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure, the world is watching and the pressure is mounting. As we move into the next part of this discussion, we'll take a closer look at the legal consequences that could be awaiting Diddy. With recent reports of his arrest and growing allegations against him, it's starting to look like these rumors could have very real repercussions. So the story is just getting started.
Now, so what is next? Is he going to be in jail in this facility until the trial begins? Is there a chance he could, get moved earlier than that?
As of this moment, as of this hour, as of today, yes. But of course, as I mentioned earlier, they're going to be appealing this thing next to the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals to overturn the judge's order here to try and get him actually released.
So let's just say things are spiraling for Diddy. The arrest that happened on September 16th wasn't just a run-on bust. It was like the grand finale after a crescendo of lawsuits, claims, and whispers that have been building for years. So here's the rundown. Diddy was nabbed by federal agents at a New York hotel with charges that have since rattled everyone who thought they'd seen it all when it came to celebrity drama. But this takes things to a whole new level.
There are some problems that the defense has brought up originally, but it seems like, just from reading this 14-page indictment, that there is enough physical evidence to perhaps get a conviction in this case. We shall see.
So the charges laid out against Diddy are more than just the usual celebrity scandal. We're talking about accusations of racketeering, trafficking, and alleged use of his entire business empire to pull off what authorities are calling a years-long scheme. And they're not being coy about it. This isn't just about one or two isolated incidents. The U.S. Attorney's Office made it clear they believe Diddy's been at this since at least 2008, using his power, wealth, and influence to orchestrate what some are calling a criminal operation right under the nose of Hollywood.
Personally, I've never met Diddy a day in my life, but when you do wrong, it comes back on you. So none of us should be surprised.
It all started with Cassie's explosive civil lawsuit in November 2023, which she filed under New York's Adult Survivors Act. She didn't hold back, either accusing Diddy of not just abuse, but a specific kind that involved what she called freak-offs. So these alleged parties weren't your average get-togethers. According to Cassie, they involved hired companions, other men, and scenarios that most people would find shocking. Diddy naturally denied everything, and the case was settled pretty quickly. But that was just the beginning of a wave of lawsuits that snowballed in the months that followed.
It's so difficult to reflect on the darkest times in your life. But sometimes you gotta do that. I was f***ed up.
So by December, more accusations were piling up, with another civil suit from Joy Dickerson-Neal, who claimed Diddy had not only exploited her but also filmed her without her knowledge. And in the same month, a Jane Doe lawsuit dropped, bringing even more disturbing claims into the picture. It was clear by then that these weren't just one-off incidents. There was a pattern forming, and people were starting to take notice.
Of course, there's layers upon layers. When you get into these conspiracy theories, man, they never end. They never end. There's just layers upon layers.
Then, in March, federal agents raided Diddy's properties in Los Angeles and Miami, supposedly turning up evidence that hinted at even more scandalous activity. They confiscated his phones, ransacked his homes, and reportedly found firearms on the premises. That raid put everything into perspective. This wasn't just tabloid fodder anymore. The feds were involved, and they were taking these allegations seriously. Diddy's team, of course, called the whole thing a witch hunt, claiming he was innocent and that this was all just a media circus blown out of proportion.
Don't think he don't know. You pay those lawyers to know. Those lawyers know what he's gonna beat, and those lawyers know what he ain't gonna beat.
And let's not forget the peculiar case of Rodney Lowe Rod Jones. In February, Jones filed a federal lawsuit that painted a picture of life in Diddy's world that seemed almost too bizarre to be true. He claimed Diddy pressured him into compromising situations, allegedly requiring Jones to film all kinds of wild moments, which included illicit gatherings and bizarre parties. Jones even accused Diddy of trying to groom him and coercing him into uncomfortable situations. So the lawsuit even went as far as to claim that Diddy's son Christian was involved in a shooting, which was swiftly denied by both father and son. But by now, this kind of scandal wasn't exactly out of character for what people had come to expect from the saga.
Notes. Not only should he have apologized to Cassie in that video, he should have apologized to all of the general public that he lied to.
So then, when everyone thought the drama couldn't possibly escalate further, Dawn Richard from Danity Kane jumped into the fray. Just days before Diddy's arrest, she filed her own suit, detailing what she described as a horrifying experience under Diddy's influence. She claimed he had physically assaulted her and threatened her, making her fear for her life. She alleged that she'd even tried to intervene in some of Diddy's alleged situations with Cassie, only to be threatened herself. And her claims, they didn't exactly do wonders for Diddy's image, right as the indictment was being unsealed. So when Diddy got arrested, it didn't come as a shock to those who'd been following the story. The accusations from the federal prosecutors, however, were a bombshell. They're saying he led a full-blown criminal enterprise, roping in victims and using his influence to silence them and keep everything under wrap. According to the U.S. attorney, he'd allegedly manipulated people and exploited his power, all while pretending everything was business as usual. And now, with everything out in the open, it's not just Diddy who's feeling the heat. Everyone associated with him is trying to avoid getting caught in the fallout. Now, Diddy's lawyer is insisting that this is all an unjust prosecution and they're prepping for a fight. They've been playing up his cooperation, claiming he even moved to New York voluntarily as the charges loomed over him. But with all this public backlash, Diddy's insistence on innocence might be a tough sell, especially with this long list of people claiming he's been up to no good for years. As his lawyer says, Diddy's imperfect, but not a criminal, but it's anyone's guess how that will hold up in court with the amount of detail that's coming to light.
of the evidence, alleged evidence, that's been gathered in this case was from those 2 raids that were conducted on his personal homes in Miami and Los Angeles. And the indictment names the things seized that he allegedly made videos of these performances that have been named for.
And as the legal battle unfolds, everyone's waiting to see who else might get dragged into this mess. The racketeering charge alone hints at something much bigger than just a few isolated incidents. It suggests there might be a whole network of people who've been covering for Diddy, or worse, they're participating in the same kind of lifestyle that's got him under federal scrutiny. The case against him is already drawing comparisons to high-profile cases from the past, like those involving Epstein or R. Kelly, and if history is any indicator, Diddy's legal woes could expose an even bigger scandal.
You heard about Diddy law firm breaking charges with him in Miami Beach, taking his day away?
Well, all the things that happened to Diddy, and he losing friends, companies, cities, city names, city girls.
As it stands now, the trial's shaping up to be more than just a fight to clear Diddy's name. It's a battle that could reveal the darker side of the entertainment industry. The fallout's just beginning, and if even half of these allegations turn out to be true, it's going to be one long, messy trial that could change Hollywood as we know it. So after hearing all this, what do you think? Do you believe these allegations are just another Hollywood scandal blown out of proportion? Or could they really be part of something much bigger? Could this case against Diddy be the tipping point that reveals a hidden world within the entertainment industry? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next video.